Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Let the Scribe Speak. I am your host, Pastor Koy-George, and today I will be joined with a very good friend and sister of mine, joining us all the way from South Korea, and she's going to be talking to us about our new release book. And I am really, really excited because I really want to know um the reason why she would have written it and all the juicy stuff that comes with it. So if you're joining us today, I invite you to just go ahead and begin to just share with your friends, invite them, get them online to come and to partner with us today, because it's going to be um a day, it's going to be a book that is not, one of the norms that we actually have been dealing with. It speaks about underestimated life of an expat spouse. All right. And this is not just an expat spouse, but an expat spouse that carries the name of Jesus, carry the grace of God. So I want you to just go again, invite as many people as you can. I'm doing the same, trying to get some of my friends to come online with me so that they can be here with us on Let the Scribe Speak, which I'm doing right now. And I will invite you to do the same. Hallelujah. How have your week been? It is Wednesday here, 3 p.m. in the Netherlands. How have your week been? It is Wednesday here, 3 p.m. in the Netherlands. Oh, sorry about that. How have your week been? I'm trying to send. So what happens is that um, when you try to send and it comes on. So good afternoon. Just go ahead and share with somebody today. As I'm doing the same, that's what I'm trying to do right now. And today I'll be joined with a friend of mine who once lived actually in the same city where I lived in the Netherlands many years ago. With a friend of mine. Don't longer live here, but lives in South Korea. And she has written her experiences in a book, and she will be sharing that with us today. So I'm taking an opportunity right now to just um, share with my friends, and I would really love for you to do the same. Share with your friends, get them online to come with us as we begin to explore this book today. All right? Okay. Just take a moment and I will be back. Good afternoon again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Let Us Scrap Speak. I was just trying to get some people, my friends, to come on with me. So what I'm going to do, even as you're coming on today, I want to be able to bring on my guests and introduce my guests today. On Let the Scribe Speak. And I want to just tell you a little bit about who she is, because it will give you an understanding of our book and the reason why she'd written it. She is a best-selling author and a writer, an educationist, and a linguistic an inspirational speaker, a social entrepreneur, transformation leader, a mentor, an employer, trainer, administrator. Oh, she is all of these things, and a best-selling author. She specialized in early childhood education and parental involvement, and she's known for her remarkable work with special needs children and their families. She is a founder and executive director of Petra Speech and Early Childhood Development Center, founded in October 1997 in Nigeria. It is an inclusive education center which has been in existence for the past 3 decades for special needs children and their families. She's a founder and leader consultant in the EPBWN Consultant International. She works with governments, private sector, multinational organized multilateral organizations, international financial institutions and banks. She's a seasoned expatriate spouse who has lived in several continents, and she has visited more than 50 countries. She's the founder and chairperson of the EXPAT Professional and Businesswoman Network International, founded in Tunisia in 2013. There's so much more that I can talk about her and the things that embodies our CV. I'll just read some more of it. She worked at the International Criminal Tribunal Court for the former Yugoslavia in Judges Association, a judge's assistant. And she also worked with the British Council Nigeria on universal basic education projects as project officers. She recently founded a corporate called African Woman Entrepreneur in Diaspora, AfriWeb. This is a platform for African businesses for women seeking funding for operating informal business and enterprises. She's married to Mr. Ibrahim James Pam, head of the Independent Integrity Unit in the Green Climate Fund, South Korea, and blessed with 4 children, 4 grandsons, and 2 beautiful granddaughters. She is an advent traveler and loves fashion, designing, cooking, teaching, creating projects, and creative art. She's a member of the International Society of Female Professionals and more. I want you to take the opportunity to welcome no other, this princess, no, I want to make sure I said it right, Abraham Pam, the founder and chairperson of EPBMN International to the prophetic, sorry, let the scribe speak today. Amen. I'm kind of distracted. I'm doing more than one things at the same time. I'm saying International Gathering of Eagles, but it is Let the Scribe Speak. So we'll be talking about books. So as you come on today, bless you, Amanda. I just want you to just invite somebody, get them online. Thank you for coming on today with us. And good afternoon, my dear Princess Pam. Bless you for being with us and joining us all the way from South Korea. I know I tried to um because your CV is so long. I'm like, what do I take out? Because if I begin to actually finish reading it, we will be here forever. But I want you to just go ahead. Thank you for coming on and Let the Scribe Speak. And I want you to just go ahead and maybe there's something that you feel is absolutely important and imperative that your listeners know today. And I want to give you that opportunity to just join with what I've said and go ahead and do that before we go into the broadcast. Just unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Gale. I just wanted to add that I have 5 kids so that none of them will disown me after this interview. I have 5 kids, 3 daughters and 2 sons, Pamela being the first, Elizabeth and Tara, then Zachariah and Samuel. Then I have 6 grandchildren, Katie, Namil, Omari, Zena, Cam, and Isabella. So I think I've cleared that up. The rest of all about me, you will learn through the book. If you get a copy of the book, you will know more about me and my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Princess. For being with us today. I actually did talk about the children coming down to the end, but it's good to emphasize that. So it comes out of the mouth
Oh,
of their mom.
I also made a mistake. Zachariah and Samuel is the same person. Zachariah and James Ibrahim Pam. James Ibrahim Pam is junior of his father.
Yes, you've got to correct that. You've got to correct
I
that
have to correct that.
because they're going to say, Grandma, you didn't say it
No,
right.
you didn't
You missed
mention my
me
name.
out.
Yeah.
Amen. Bless the Lord. And if you thank you all for joining us today on Let the Scribe Speak. Thank you for coming on and sharing as well. And I want to just promise you this thing, that even as we're here today, if you can invite five of your friends with us today, and you can convince us that five of your friends are online with us, we would make sure that you get a free copy. You win a free copy of this book. This book is juicy. You're gonna love it. It brings so much elements of a woman, and it speaks of the strength of a woman, and actually the place of a woman, and how God has positioned women to take an integral part when it comes to child rearing, their families, and also to having a voice wherever you go, and not to be muted, regardless of cultures, barriers, boundaries, continents, religious backgrounds, educational backgrounds, upbringing. You've got a voice, and you can actually be used by God. So welcome again, once again, Princess.
Thank you.
It's so great to have you with us. And
Thank
I
you.
want you to just, and you listeners, to understand, you might be asking, how did this all come together? What is Let the Scribe Speak? But actually, I was actually minding my own business, doing my own stuff. And when it was a lockdown and people were being chaotic around the world, and God reminded me of the moments when I was growing up in church, and how it was so important that we read books, and we would be waiting on church in church for someone to finish reading a book so we can exchange it quickly and just pass it around. And he allowed me to understand that now, in the season where we are living in, that it's becoming a lost art. People are not reading like they should. And he said, Gail, I want you to get people to go back to the lost art of reading, get them as well to purchase a book and put it in their library. And another thing, he said, when this pandemic and everything is over, because they would have read, they would come out with something tangible that they would have received during the pandemic. And then he allowed me, there were, many, many scriptures that were given to me, during the process. But one of the things that stuck with me, one of the scriptures that I love to use, is the one from Jeremiah that says, write these things that I have given to you in a book. Jeremiah was instructed by God to write down the things that was given to him, that was declared to him. He was asked to put them all in writing, and Jeremiah 30 verses 2. And that's one of the things that governs this broadcast. Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I've spoken to you in the book. And that's what makes it prophetic. It means that you've actually not decided to write on your own. You were inspired, instructed, and led by the Holy Spirit to actually put this all together. So I want to go to you, Princess Pam.
Yes.
Um, what was the motivating factor of writing this book? This book, it says, underestimated life of an expat spouse. What would have stirred you up, empowered you, geared you, propel you to write this special book?
Okay. Thank you very much for bringing me to your platform, Describe. And thank you that you've been my mentor for quite some years now. We've been together for close to 20 years. And thank God for technology for keeping us connected, even though distance would have created a lot of gap, and we've kept in touch. So thank you very much. Um, what propelled me to writing my book? Having been a daughter of an educationist, an ardent reader, a historian, my late father, it's always been something that I would say I grew up with. I wasn't an ardent reader like my dad, but definitely I grew up with books all over my house, around me. And then when I was younger, like any other teenager, we read Means and Boons, looking for our romantic partner. And that was the beginning of knowing that books have power of storing history and giving you a platform to express yourself. Having said that, the Iyabo the Expert Pro came out of many of my experiences as a young girl, as a wife, as a mother, as an expert spouse, as any other woman in the society. It was my desire to tell my story in my own voice. I had a longing in my heart to leave a legacy for my children, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, so they will remember. They will remember me for who I am, who I was, and who I might have been to them if I had met them or if they had met me. So it was a it was more of me leaving a legacy for my generation. Many years ago, I listened to a sermon, I think by Pastor Adeboye, when he kept asking, "What is your legacy? What are you leaving behind for your children? Is it houses or money they will fight over? What is the legacy you're leaving behind for your children?" And that has been something I've always thought about. I want to leave a lasting legacy. I want to be a creator of wealth for my children. I want to leave a legacy that my children uh, uh, we be able to pass on something tangible, something eternal, something that cannot be destroyed. It will always be there once it's been published. So that was something that was behind my mind. I wanted to tell my story in my voice so that I tell my story. I take control of the narrative around my life and my stories.
You take it around the narrative of your life or your stories because you want to leave a song legacy for the next generation. And this
Yes,
is the way that you have been inspired to leave a legacy. Thank you for sharing
yes,
that with us. And as we go into the book, because, the name of the book is The Underestimated Life of an Expat Spouse. The
that's
Underestimated Life.
actually a subtitle of the book.
Okay.
The main title of the book is Iyawo. Iyawo in Yoruba means wife.
Wife.
Uh,
Iyabo. Iyabo.
Iyawo, Iyawo, wife. It means
Okay.
wife in my mother's dialect. The original name for the book would have been The Expatriate Spouse, but then I had to use my pet name. My husband and my loved ones, they call me your wife, my wife. He calls me my wife. So I now use that as a pun for the title, Iyawo the Expat Pro.
Iyabo.
Literally
Okay.
means wife of the expat professional, wife the expert professional, you know. So that
Okay.
is the title of the book. The Underestimated Life of an Expert Spouse is the experience
Hmm.
I went through as a spouse of a diplomat.
Of a diplomat. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to put it up for us so that people can, see
See,
the Igbo translation. Yes, if I can see that.
yeah,
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 so that people can see the Igbo. What it looks like is this.
yeah.
Yawo,
Iyawo, the expert pro,
the
the
expat
underestimated
pro,
life. Yeah,
right? And what I've just read, which is The Underestimated Life of an Expat Wife, that is
yeah,
the undertitle.
yeah,
But this is what it looks like. And you see the
yeah.
plane there, meaning I'm on the run, I'm on the move
All the time.
all the time.
You know,
So
there
welcome
was an
again.
yeah,
Go
there was
ahead.
an
Let
experience I had some few years back. I think in 2018 or 19, I was flying from one continent to the other. And that year, I never experienced October night. I spent October night in between flights airborne. So by the time I got to my destination, I was totally confused. I said, "What happened to October night in my life?" I was flying. It got lost in the air. So yeah, that's how it's been being an expert spouse, moving around to try to meet up my children in the different continents. Hmm. I think she's getting herself back on the platform. So while she's doing that, I would just like to talk to my audience that please pick up a copy of the expert, Iyawo the Expert Professional, uh, from Amazon. There's an e book and there's a paperback. If you click on the link on Amazon, if you type the name of the book into Amazon, it will pop up and you can buy. You can gift it out to friends, you can gift it out to relations, and you can gift it out to your young daughters so they can read the book and see the struggles that a woman can go through.
Thank you. I was actually for a moment kicked out. So
Yeah,
I want us to get thank you for taking us through. I want us to get into the book and
yeah,
talked about some of the details in the book.
yeah,
Because we talked about why you wrote it because you felt that you needed to leave a legacy. That was your way of, leaving something behind that speaks of the struggles and the things that you've actually gone through so that people
yes,
can be taught and learn from your experiences, which are
yes.
interesting stories.
Mm.
I know you would have traveled, over 50 countries around the world and different continents. And I want to ask you, which was one of your favorite places or one of the most intriguing places that you've ever visited and why?
That's such a very difficult question to answer. I've been asked that question several times, and I always say to people, each country is exotic in its own way. But I want to say that Netherlands, Den Haag will always be home to me and my children. I think Den Haag has become a second home for me and the children because that's where my first stint of being an expat spouse, and that is the country where I brought all my kids up. So Holland has that touch of family that we liked, and then Tunisia was so exotic. It was so exotic. I loved their food. The women were chic, and I loved it. But of all the countries that I've been to, that is memorable to me is Tonga, one of the Caribbean Pacific countries, and that's where we did our 25th anniversary. We retook our vows, in one
Which
of
country
the
was that?
Tonga.
Tonga.
Yeah, it's one of the Pacific islands in the
Okay.
Caribbean. Yeah, it's beautiful, nice people, nice food, and we had our 25th anniversary celebration there. And we took our vows in one of the Catholic churches there, so that's been very memorable for me. We've been to Belize and Fiji. I can't really go through all the countries because they all have a stamp on me one way or the other. But it's been a privilege. And in saying that, that takes me to a promise my husband made to me when he was barely 21 years and we didn't know where we were going to or what would become of us. And he said to me, I'll take you around the world. And I used to say to him, please, let's be practical. Let's talk about today, And 35 years after, he's kept his promise. He's taking me around the world. Out of the 7 continents, I've been to five, I think, five of them, and counting. So, you never can tell what life has in stock for you. And Korea, I've spent 6 years here in Korea. This is one country that has been a blessing to me in terms of my career. The people are beautiful. I love their barbecue, Korean barbecue. I love their clothes. They're so fashionistic. We operate on the same level when it comes to fashion. You talk about beauty. This is the home of cosmetic surgery. Whatever you want, you can find in Korea. They're so savvy in technology. They're so prim and proper. Their ladies are cuties. You look at them and you just wonder, how do they keep those shape? Then I go for my medical checkup and they tell me I'm obese and I'm looking at them, stop it. I'm an African woman. I need to have some, curves and things like that. And I look at myself, if I'm obese, well, wait and see. Wait and see where you meet the original African woman. So yes, Korean has been a blessing and I love being here for the past 5 years, going to 6 years I've been here. I've experienced good interaction. I work with the local government, the IFS authority. They've been fantastic. We've been able to impact both the Korean and expatriate community here in Sondo, in Seoul, in Incheon, and in Korea in general. They've helped giving me a platform to impact both the local and expatriate spouses here in Korea. So I give a shout out to IFS Authority for being my partners for the past 5 years, for making it possible for me to have a voice in Korea, a foreign woman, being able to share her dreams and aspirations with other women of my kind here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Princess. It's an honor, So, oh boy, this book is so rich. I want us to go into some of the stories in the book because there's some intriguing stories, some interesting stories, some things that you went through, And I
Mm,
want to give you an opportunity to tell us maybe two of those intriguing stories of places you've actually went to where there was this vast adjustment. You're thinking, God, not again. What am I doing here? And then eventually you found yourself in purpose. Share that with
yeah. Oh, I think I would like to read from chapter 7, I think. Just a little bit of that. Yeah. It says becoming an expatriate spouse. Michelle Obama said, the only limit to the height of your achievement is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them. So I can honestly say I did not dream of becoming a diplomat's wife. A diplomat's wife. Instead, I was working hard to being a successful professional businesswoman. Our journey as expatriates had just started, and the wheels of change were on the move. Nothing could stop it now, you know. So how do I start? You know, we arrived at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam on the 19th of December 2005. Amid a very severe winter, it was so cold. The children and I were freezing. My husband was busy trying to get our transportation ready so we could go to our hotel. We were to lodge in a beautiful hotel called Moving Peak in the Voorburg area of The Hague. When we arrived at the hotel, we were a spectacle to behold. For some of our new hosts at the hotel, I guess we're seeing a large black family of 7 for the first time. We were greeted with excitement by the hotel staff, and they looked at the number of bags we brought and how many of us there were in the family, which filled them with amusement and bewilderment. We were ushered into our hotel rooms, and directions were given to us on navigating the hotel grounds. They gave us a tour of the hotel and showed us how to open and operate the doors and other gadgets using new technology. The girls were excited and overjoyed by the new experience. They fiddled with the television set and stayed under the thick blankets to keep warm in their rooms. Once we settled down, I laid by the room heater because I could not bear the cold. I suddenly looked out of the window and saw Zach and James with light jackets on walking across the frozen lake in front of the hotel. I almost fainted with fright, but I noticed their dad watching them closely. The boys did not have a care in the world. They were oblivious of the danger of falling through the frozen lake, and they were not bothered if they came down with a cough. Anyway, I did not want to be a spoiler with my motherly instinct, so I turned a blind eye and allowed them to enjoy themselves in their new country. So these are the little experiences, as a mother with young and teenage children traveling around the world, how you have to, you know, gauge how you can be a mother. Am I going to be an African mother in Europe, or am I going to be a modified African mother, or am I going to switch totally to becoming an European mother? So it was a struggle in my head. Which one do I want to be? So I decided that it was safer for me to be a Nigerian mother. And being a Nigerian mother, I can't go wrong. There will be no confusion about the norms and the the parameters that we're going to function as a family, and that has been who we are. We are Nigerians first before we are any other person. Yeah.
That was quite an intriguing story that even though we come from our own backgrounds and we have our own perimeters, sometimes we cannot even put a little string on our kids to actually get them to adhere to some of the norms of the, what we stand for and how we were brought up. And because of the imploring minds, they, oh, let's go in the snow, not knowing the danger that actually the ice could be broken. Thank you for telling us that story. And one of the other things that I would love to ask you is, sometimes when we are traveling around the world, we come up with, we adopt cultures from other places that were actually not normed to us. And as an expat wife, you've written in your book, I want you to tell us about one of those cultural stuff that you have adopted from traveling around the nations of the world. One that you said, you know what? This I can join with my Nigerian culture. This can be part of my upbringing. I want to add this to me and who I am and what I deplore. Could you tell us maybe one or two of those things that you might have adopted from traveling around the world as an expatriate wife?
I think the first thing is for me to learn the language, because being a linguist, I know that you break down every barrier through learning the language of your opponent or your friend or your loved ones. Language is the key to integration. So that was the first thing I picked up. And having the flair of picking up languages easily, I usually try my best that when I get to any country, I try to get a learning knowledge of that language. Unfortunately, by the time I got to Korea, I think my brain cells were dead with the assorted languages in my brain. Because when I'm agitated or when I'm angry, I think I mix about 4, 5 languages in one sentence. And sometimes my husband is talking to me and I will say we, and they say you speaking French, or I answer in Dutch. Ne, it's so funny how languages can affect how people respond to you. So, as an expatriate spouse, one thing I have adapted into my lifestyle is show respect for people's language, show respect for people's culture, show respect for people's religion. You know, it has made me so broad-minded, to accept people the way they are, especially if I'm a guest of their country. Usually what happens that some of the expatriate families forget that they're in somebody else's country and they want the benefits of being in their home country. You have to take that away from your mindset to know that you are a traveler, you are a visitor, and you need to adapt to the country where you've been posted to. You don't try to impose your own a lifestyle or culture or laws or rules to somebody else's country. So that has really given me an understanding to respect people. When I go to different countries, I try to respect their laws, respect their culture, respect their religion, and integrate with them. Find pleasure in who they are instead of trying to criticize them or compare with them or feel superior to them. No, we're all human beings. This is the same basic human tenets that guide our lifestyles. One aspect of life may be prominent in one culture and less prominent in the other, but we all are guided by the same principles in life: love, shelter, food, education. Is all the desires of all human beings in the world. So uh, you have to be courteous, you have to be kind, you need to love the people that are hosting you wherever you find yourself.
Wow. So imperative. My
Yeah.
next question is to whom was this book written for? To whom was this book? When someone is, oh, I'm not an expatriate wife, I don't need to purchase this book. What would you say? Why, to whom would this book be beneficial to? To whom was the book written for?
This book was written for my children. Like I said,
Mm.
it was a legacy project. But when I mean my children, I have more than 5 children. I have children all over the world, young girls like me who are lost, who are struggling with their identities.
Yes.
These young girls will one day grow up to be like me, a 54-year-old woman. What will happen to them if they don't hear stories like us? How we struggled. Because what happens is that young girls look at us at the pinnacle of our success, not knowing we were once in their position where we lacked.
Mm.
We didn't know what to do, even where we were betrayed, even where we were rejected, even where we were said no to. So, my book is about being a woman. It's for all the women in the world. It's about the struggles we go through from when we are teenage girls, our emotions, our desires to be married, our desires to be successful, our desires to be career women. So this book is a global book. It is going to be beneficial for any woman struggling. It's a book when you read when you're happy. It's a book when you read when you're sad. It's a book when you read when you're exhausted. It's a book when you want to relax. It's a book when you're looking for lessons to be learned. It's a book when you're looking for encouragement of whatever situations that you're going through. I have gone through them. And so this book is for all the mothers out there. This book is for all the aunties out there. This book is for the sisters. This book is for grandmothers, even how to relate to your grandkids. What are the expectations of a career woman becoming a grandmother? So this book is a global book. It was written to help young teenage mothers, younger women, older women to find their voice. I found my voice through my life struggles. Through my life struggle, I realized that the world do not like vulnerable people. But I also realized that through my vulnerability, I have conquered the world's parameters for my life or my expectation. So, this book is for you and you and you, wherever you are in the world. You want to learn through my story. These are real stories, not fiction. It did happen to me, and I'm still standing. And more will still happen after Yawo. Doesn't mean that all the experiences and all the struggles just stopped because I
Mm.
published Yawo. The struggles continue. So today, before coming on this program, I had to go through the book myself, and honestly, I was brought to tears. I had to ask myself, I actually went through this. I actually went through this. I got married when I was 24. I had my first baby when I was 23. So my experiences is not the typical, everything was straightforward. No, I had hurdles I had to overcome as a young woman before getting married. I had hurdles I had to overcome as a young married woman. I had hurdles I needed to overcome as a young mother, trotting 3 young girls, 2.5 years in between the three of them. And when I was bringing up my daughters, my neck was always like a ostrich because I was on the clock all around 24/7. I had to bathe them. I had to wash their clothes. I had to feed them. When they're sick, I have to be with them. I had to take them to school and pick them, you know. And then, as a mother, I had my struggle. I just don't want to be a mother. I also wanted to be financially independent. I also wanted to achieve my dreams. I'm someone who God has blessed with a mind that is magnetic. I can't stand still. My mind at night, I create things, projects, things I just create. I'm a wealth creator, you know. There's nothing I put my mind to that I can't make money from. So that's the kind of mind and kind of person that I am. So you can imagine having to put all that on a shelf to follow my husband around the world, to make sure my 5 kids are well taken care of, and to make sure that their lives become a success, something that I can be proud of, has taken a toll on me.
Mm.
I wasn't that young woman who got married in 1992. I have evolved to become an institution of my own, a person of my own. I have my voice. So this book is for you, girl. It's for all those on the watching this program. Go pick a copy and see that there's nothing you go through in life that you can overcome if you have the right attitude. And I want to pay special uh, uh, um, adoration to my God. Because sometimes when I look back on all the things I've been through, I know, and I only know that it was all through the power of God. There's a verse I like in the Bible that says, the cornerstone, which was rejected, has become the headstone. That is the story of my life.
Psalms 118 verses 22. Oh, thank you. It's people look at success stories and they look at the lives that sometimes many people live, and they want to attribute their own lives or make comparison of their lives with others. But if you really take an opportunity to sit with those people and begin to understand the struggles that they went through, the setbacks, the marginalizations, the time that they have lost, the things that they had to set aside to actually come into the place where they are, you would tell yourself, I won't be able to do that. I can't do that. And I'm
Mm,
happy, Princess, that you are actually sharing this with us so that people can understand it doesn't matter where you've been, which country you find yourself in, how much you've been asked to give up. The time is going to come, because I always believe, I always explain myself like I'm a Pepsi in a Pepsi bottle. And it doesn't matter how much you take the cork off and you take your thumb and you plug it down. If you keep shaking it, one day it's going to explode, because
yes.
it was created not to be pressed down. It has gas and
Mm,
that's an explosion. And I believe each and every one of us can have that feeling whereby we are explosive if we are being placed in the right environment. And I'm so glad that you're sharing that aspect of your story with us, because, even as you were talking, I felt like a lump in my throat,
mm,
like I literally wanted like to cry, but not knowing the reason why.
mm.
And understanding that, I believe it has to do with some of the time that you had to give up even when you didn't want to, but it was
Yeah,
imperative that you do that in order that your legacy would be secure. And then the
yeah,
time that was left after, that's what you took and cultivate this additional legacy that you were going to leave yourself for your daughters and your sisters and your friends and those that will
yeah,
come after you. I think that
yeah,
was Psalms 118. Thank you for putting it up. Psalms 118, that 22 was the scripture you were talking about, you know, that the stone that the builders rejected will become the chief cornerstone. And
yeah,
chief cornerstone comes with patience and time. So, Lord help me with the feeling that I'm feeling here. But let's go back to, if you're joining us, we're talking to Princess about this special book, about this book that God had allowed her to write and to pen in order that she would leave a sound legacy. Yawo, the Expat Pro. And it's
mm,
talking about the underestimated life of an expat spouse. So she shared in our experiences of going around the five of the continents around the world and visiting more than 50 countries. And she's allowing us to get inside of our personal story. So we're
mm.
going back to the book because we still got
Yeah.
some time. And my question is another question. What do you think? Why do you think that this book is relevant to the season in which we're living? Because we're coming out, most of the world is coming out of a place of a pandemic, and some of the countries are still in that pandemic. And as we look through the pages of this book, Why do you think this book will be relevant in this season that we're in right now, Princess?
Thank you very much. And this book is a product of the pandemic. I've been planning to write this book for the past 15 years, but I've been so busy not being able to sit down and put all my writings that I've had in different journals together. But when the pandemic happened in 2020 and we're all forced to stay at home, like you said, I'm not an idle mind. I decided to write my book. And this is, I've written 2 books right now, and the third one is ready for publishing in March. So this book is relevant now. It's a product of the pandemic. If you go through the book, you see how the last chapter no, the second to the last chapter is called the year 2020, the year of COVID-19. COVID-19 impacted all of us as a family, all of us as individuals. There are some families today that have been wiped out because of COVID-19. There are some families that have been left uh, uh, um, financially broke because of COVID-19. There are families that are broken right now because of uh, COVID-19. So my book is a byproduct of the era of the pandemic. If you go through my book, you'll find lessons of how to rebrand yourself. You'll find lessons that may suit your situation right now that you're going through, to let you know that there's nothing new under the sun. You're not the only one going through the same that problem. There are millions of other women going through the same problem that you're going through. If it's domestic violence, there are a lot of us that have suffered domestic violence. If it's sexual harassment, there are a lot of all over the world going through the same experience with you. If it's the inequality in the place of work, lots of women, professional women, are going through the same thing. If it's lack of food, lack of shelter, women and children in war zone areas are experiencing the same thing like you. So if you go through my book, you will see how I have struggled with issues, either in marriage, either in place of work, either with the children, or either with discovering myself, either with my health. So this book is for all season. It's how do you want to, if you had, in 2016, I had a health scare. My heart was enlarged. And I was saved because I listened to my son, who coincidentally was the one I took to the hospital to have a medical checkup so that he can go back to school. And I was in the waiting room waiting for him. And he took one look at me. That's Zachariah. He said, "Mommy, you're not looking good." I said, "No, I'm okay. I'm just tired." He said, "No, Mommy, you're not looking good. We're not going home until you see a doctor, or they attend to you here." And only for me to, okay, to please my son, I said, "Okay, let me just take my blood pressure." And that was the beginning of me having to discover that I had an enlarged heart and my situations were not good. So what did I do? I put every effort to keep myself alive, because I said to God, I have 5 kids. My work here is not done. You promised me that I'll see my great grandchildren, and I intend to do that. And what did I do? I started plotting a life change a program. I started walking. That's how come I become a walker. When I started walking, I couldn't walk for 100 meters. There were times before we discovered I had the heart condition. My husband used to be furious with me. He said, "Ah, yeah, well, you're a young woman. How come every time you're tired, we go to church, I just want to lay on his shoulders?" And he felt maybe I was doing lovey-dovey. He didn't know I just didn't have the energy. You know, in church they want us to stand up, and I don't want to stand up, and it irritated him. So what is wrong with you? They say follow the instruction in church, but I just didn't have the energy. I didn't even know what was wrong with me, so I couldn't even defend myself. But it was when this thing happened that, oh, he said, "Oh yeah, well, that was what was bothering you." Then when I started walking, I'm a woman now at 54. I can walk 20 kilometers without panting, without stopping. But I didn't start from that. Something challenged me. Something changed my lifestyle. So I have a series called Walking for Life series. It came out of my ill health. I didn't allow my ill health to discourage me. And while I was going through that, nobody really knew what I was going through until I successfully conquered it. When I went back to the hospital and the Korean doctor looked at me, stood up from his chair and said, "What did you do?" One aspect of it that always cracked me up, I went into the hospital because they declared that I was extremely very hypertensive. I had an enlarged heart. 3 months later, I went in there. They were also panicking because my blood pressure was low because I just went on herbs and vegetables and this thing. So I said, which one do you want? Which one is better for you? Because I don't know what you want, you know. And that was very amazing to me that with your will, if you discipline yourself, if you have the will to change your life pattern, you can. So when the Korean doctor stood up and gave me a handshake and said, "Look, clinically, your heart has sprung back within 3 months." You know, that was in 2016. So there's nothing. The Bible says, all you need to do is to conceive it. Once you're able to conceive it, you can be able to achieve it. And that's why the Bible says, when you have a vision, write it down. When you write it down, you will not forget. It may not happen immediately, but definitely because it has been written down, it has been cast in stone, you will pick up that vision. So life is seasonal. So Iyawo the Expert Pro is a seasonal book. It doesn't go out of season. Like I said, it's a global book. It cuts across culture,
Amen.
religion, people, economical background, financial status, or power. It's a book for every woman. My story is not different from your story. My story is your story, is Gale's story, is all my sisters. I have 9 other sisters. My story is the same stories as theirs. The only thing that makes mine different and authentic is my attitude to my struggles, is my attitude to my situation. So you have to check your attitude. So everything in life has consequences,
Yes,
and you
I'm
have
so
to.
glad you say that. I'm so glad you say that everything in life has consequences. But as we're coming down to the end, Princess Pam, one of the things that's coming to, because I love to ask this question, and sometimes people tend to say, "Oh no, I don't," but I'm going to still ask it anyway, because I love to have the variations of different response. Which is your favorite chapter of the book, if there is one, and why? If there is one,
My,
and
fav-
why?
my favorite chapter is chapter 5. It's called The Naive Wife. That it's the chapter I poured out my heart. That's the chapter you will discover my struggles. That's the chapter you will find the things I've lost and the things I've found. That's the chapter I discovered who I was going to be and how I was going to respond to the trials and difficulties of life. Chapter 5 tells you the story of my life in a manner that is untainted, that is unbiased, that is not exaggerated. Just the story of a young woman, a young wife, a young mother that was lost. And then, by the grace of God, she found herself. So, chapter 5. But when you finish reading chapter 5,
Chapter
pay
5.
attention to chapter 7, because that is when I found myself.
Thank you. Thank you, Princess. Chapter 5, if you read it, that's where she lost. She spoke about ourselves, you know, opened the book and revealed the insights of her heart. And she said, don't just stick there, but go to 7, because then you would see the aftermath,
Mm-hmm,
the consequences in manifestation.
mm-hmm,
If you don't faint, what happens? And I love life stories
mm-hmm.
because you get an opportunity to get into the life of someone who had lived the life and you weren't there, but you just getting to experience it, and you can cry with them all over again. You can sub with them all over again. You can empathize with them. Oh my God, that happened to you all over again. And you go, oh my God, what a story. And that makes it profound. That makes it so profound. So I want to just thank you for sharing your story with us. And one of the things I would ask you, bless you, Orin, one of the things I would ask you, even before we leave the platform, is there anything else that you feel that is imperative now that you should share with your viewers? And for those of you who are online and you're saying, how can I purchase the book? It's quite simple. You just got to go on to www.amazon.com. It's quite a story. It's like watching a movie and you don't know what is going to happen next. So if you go to www.amazon.com and look, I've put there, Yawo, the Expat Pro, on the estimated life of an expat spouse. That is exactly how it is in Amazon. So you can actually go on www.amazon.com and then you can get that book. I think somebody was asking, how do I purchase it? And listen, for people who are struggling with some of the things that they lost, people who would have been struggling with some of the things they had to give up, people who are struggling with things that they feel that are unachievable, people who are struggling with things that you felt you were marginalized, you were ostracized, you were left for dead, and you find yourself in a pothole and you really don't know how to get out. And you're saying, this is the end of the day for me. I am 50 years old, I'm 55, I'm 60, and I really don't think that there is anything that can come out of, you know, where I am right now. I want you to purchase this book.
Yeah.
You're going to cry in the book, like I did. I cried in some potions. You're going to cry in the book. You're going to laugh hysterically. And you're going to even feel sorry for yourself that you have actually made yourself look like an idiot, where you went through less than Princess Pam went through and felt that there was no return. And you say, God, all of this? And you're going to just snatch your life back and say, it is possible.
Possible.
I can
Yeah.
still do it, because if Princess Pam went through all of this and she's shining, and I just went through this, I can shine also. All right. So you can go on www.amazon.com. I've placed the information there. Iawo, the Expat Pro, on the estimated life of an expat spouse. And you can purchase the book. There's a Kindle version of the book for $7.03, and you can have the paperback version, which is like $22.55, which will run us around 19 euros, around there. You can go and purchase it and they will get it to you. So I want to leave this with you as I ask Princess Pam, finally, like I just did, if there's anything that she thinks is imperative that she leave with our viewers here today.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to share with our viewers. I just want to encourage you that my life is just starting at 54. I sacrificed my youth for my husband's career, for my children. And today, my life has just started. I'm discovering myself. Don't give up. Don't give up. Age is just a parameter. Age is just in your mind. The things I wished I had done earlier, sometimes with maturity, it becomes sweeter and better and more impactful. So don't give up and don't be in competition with anybody. You are yourself. Be an authentic person. Don't follow the crowd. Don't be a copier. Create things for yourself. Find out who you are. Enjoy being who you are. Put people around you who believe in you. Don't be a crowd puller that will pull you down. Don't pull crowd that will pull you down. You can pull one or two people who will lift you up. You remember in the Bible when was it Abraham or Moses went to war with the Philistines? He had Aaron and Hur lift up his hand so that the battle can be won.
Yeah,
And
Moses.
immediately
Yeah.
his hands were down. The battle was pitched against them. So as human beings, we need people who will hold up our hands, who will have our backs. And for me, I want to use this opportunity to say a special thank you to my husband, who has been the person that has given me this opportunity to have this experience, who has stood by me, who believes in my tenacity, who believes in my vision, sometimes overwhelmed with my exotic ways of doing things, because he's a very quiet and private person. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Ibrahim James Pam for making my life beautiful and giving me the opportunities that I've had in my life. I also want to have a good shout out to my daughters. I am blessed. I cannot ask for more beautiful daughters like Pamela, Elizabeth, and Tara. These are the ones that hold up my hands. They believe in my vision. They are my personal assistant. They do things for me. They read my books. They review for me. They teach me how to use the new technology. They are always there to be a friend. They are my friends. Apart from being my daughters, they are my friend. They are my confidant. They are my all and all. And my sons, my impeccable sons, for them just being my fan, rooting for me, being proud of who their mother is, and looking up to me uh, to leave a legacy for them. I hope and I pray that I've left that legacy that will stand the test of time. That legacy that any child can say, oh, that woman, she's my mother. I want to thank all my friends all over the world. I can't mention them by name, but I have good friends, faithful friends that have stood by me. And I thank God that I'm someone who do not leave my friends behind. I've tried as much as possible to pull as many of my friends all over the world with me alongside me, invite them to be part of what I'm doing, invite them to partake of who I have become, invite them to enjoy the things I enjoy. So I just give God the glory. The glory alone belongs to God. He said, who God has blessed, no man can curse. And promotion only cometh from God and not from man. So for everything I've achieved in my short life of 54 years, I give God all the glory, all the adoration, all the praise, all the worship, because without him, I am nothing. And if he had not been with
Amen.
me, I would have been consumed. But because the Lord stood with me, who can be against me? And because the Lord is in me, who can fight against me? So as much as you seek the things of the world, you have to seek the things of God. And
Yes.
if God is with you, there's
Who can be
nothing,
against?
nothing, nothing that is impossible. And who can stand against the wrath of God on your behalf? Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Princess. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to have you with us. And I'm hoping that I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be the one coming to South Korea or you're going to be passing through back the Netherlands. But in the Netherlands, we truly miss you. And I know that God
I
has have
miss
you doing great
Netherlands.
works around the world. And hopefully one day,
Yes.
I don't know, we will meet again where we would like the last time we met, we sat in Burger
Y-
King. That was
y-
maybe
Absolutely. I keep
8 years
remembering
ago.
that meeting. Yeah.
8 years ago, and we just sat there and ate McDonald's and went
Yes.
our way.
And you know,
You
we
know,
talked about the book, and you know, you recommended a publisher for me, and you know, and
yes,
this is the end product of all you know, what we prayed about and what we shared about 8 years ago in McDonald's, far, far away in Netherlands. So here we are.
yes. Thank you, thank you. The Lord, with all things, it's possible. And like
Yeah.
I said, thank you again, Princess. And I saw your daughter was there as well. Tora was online, and she placed. She said, "Love you, Mama. So proud of you." You know.
Thank you.
And how what more can on how can we end this show today but just seeing that what she intended the book to be, it has become, because a legacy has already been deposited in the soil of the nations. And her daughter is saying, Tara, thank you, Tara, for coming and joining us. She's saying, Mama, I love you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm
Thank
holding back the tears because it's kind of emotional, because now that I'm actually coming off of the program, I'm remembering a few things back when you lived in the Netherlands, and it's like stirring up some emotions. And for those of us who are joining us, please get a copy of the book. Please support my sister. Please support my friend. And not only that, you would leave a legacy when you read this book. you will begin to
Mm,
regain and find your purpose of those things that God had initially intended for you to have, but it might have been a delay, pothole, setbacks, marginalization, whatever it is. And go get a copy on www.com, amazon.com. Yahweh, the expat pro on the estimated life of an expat spouse. Thank you again for
thank you.
joining me, all you beautiful people from across the
Thank you.
nations. I love you, and I'll see you
Love
next
you.
week, Wednesday, again on Let the Scribe Speak. And for my
Thank
beautiful
you.
guest, Princess, it is an honor to have you with us, joining us
It's my
all the
honor.
way from South Korea. Good
Thank you
night
very
to
much.
you.
Good
And for the
night.
rest of us around the world, good afternoon and good morning. Bye bye. See
Bye.
you very soon. Bye.